Hi Arcane Winter, would you like to introduce yourselves and tell us what you do?
Okay, you first then, Piers. What do we do?
Well, I'm Piers Six, and I'm the vocalist in Arcane Winter.
And I'm Trevor Bamford, the guitarist and backing vocalist with Arcane Winter. Unfortunately, we're two men down because what are they doing exactly?
Well, one of them's on the other side of the world, watching the cricket for the Cricket World Cup.
It's a long way to go for a cricket match,
Yeah.
I must say.
I hope he didn't miss his bus.
Yeah.
And Charlie's putting together his campaign. Charlie's going to be standing for election in the coming months here in Nottingham. So
he is indeed. Yeah.
That's what he's doing.
So there's only the two of us tonight from Arcane Winter.
Oh, so they have other jobs other than just being in a band.
Ah, well, this is it.
So is Arcane Winter the first band that you've ever been in, or have you been in other bands before, Piers?
Oh, take a deep breath and pauses. For me, no, Arcane Winter is not the first band I've been in. I've been in quite a lot of bands over the years. Whenever anybody asks me this question, I always think, where am I going to draw the line? Because I could go right back to like bands when I was like in my late teens and early 20s. But to be fair, the first band that really got well known was a band called Every New Dead Ghost, and I was in Every New Dead Ghost in all its different lineups over the years.
You were in every New Dead Ghost.
Yeah, I was in every. I was in every single lineup. Then after that, I formed sort of a dark wave electronic, electro goth, whatever you call it, project called Midnight Configuration, which went on for 18 years, which included Nick. Now the weird thing is that Charlie, who's the drummer for Arcane Winter, was actually the original vocalist for Every New Dead Ghost, and Nick, who was on guitar for Midnight Configuration, is on bass for Arcane Winter. It's sounding a little bit strange, but it's actually true. And I'm also, as well as being in Arcane Winter, I'm also in Death Party UK, but more of them later, listeners. And Piers.
I started my musical career when I was about 18. I was in a band called Dead Black White. We played all over the place, primarily in the south of England, where I'm from. Then I split that band, and I spent some time in Midnight Configuration. I think I'm on the last 3 or 4 albums they did, and now I'm in Arcane Winter.
You are indeed. That's good. Okay, so next question.
And you play a blend of gothic rock mixed with post-punk. Why did you decide to go in that direction? After all, it's not so coveted in the musical style here in Czechoslovakia.
Okay.
Well, I'd say it's actually not particularly coveted here in England either. But I would say it's probably the most powerful form of punk rock that we have. It's very pure and it's very emotive. So for me, all the bands that I like have come from that genre. 1919, Killing Joke, those kind of bands. Every New Dead Ghost come from
Play Dead. Don't forget Play Dead.
The mighty Play Dead.
Absolutely, one of my favourite ever bands.
Oh, mine too. So for me, it's a music that I've always listened to. So why would I go anywhere else? Really?
I think really the whole post-punk ethic, whatever that actually is probably the closest to my basic guitar style. I mean, my basic influences, if I'm really, really honest about it, would be like Play Dead, Killing Joke, Susie and the Banshees, Joy Division, Hawkwind and Chrome. And that is really for at least for Arcane Winter, that is my main influences. And for me, after being in Midnight Configuration for 18 years, I really wanted to kind of get back to a traditional rock band format, really, where you got drums, vocals, bass, guitar, and a bit of backing vocals. And I really wanted to go for that kind of purist sort of sound, and also going back to the concept of it not being coveted. That's more the reason why I wanted to do it, because there's endless Sisters clones recycling the Alice riff. As much as that's kind of nice, once you've heard it for the 64th time, you don't really want to hear it again. And I've been around for quite a long time in the Gothic scene, and really the sound that we're doing with Arcane Winter is pre-Sisters of Mercy kind of sound. I mean, other people will say, well, it's like early Cult or whatever. And I think, yeah, that's absolutely right. And for me, that's really what I want to do. But I think, obviously, we call ourselves post-punk Gothic because that's the easiest tag that we can use for people to identify with.
But I would also say that, we do definitely have that post-punk vibe to us, but we do also draw on things like dub.
Well, I use little bits of more like I'll be honest with you. I don't like reggae particularly. It doesn't speak to me, but I do like the technical aspects of dub reggae, and I do try to use that in some of the remixes I've done.
Yeah. I think Charlie brings a lot of influences. He's really into reggae and lovers rock and that kind of stuff.
And punk rock as well. We're all into punk rock as well.
So yeah, there's lots of influences within the band.
It just comes out of you wherever you've listened to. I mean, Lemmy from Motorhead once said, he said, the music that you listen to up to the age of 23 will be with you for the rest of your life. And I really think that's true. I mean, it's true for me.
I listened to a lot of Motorhead before I was 23,
there
so yeah, we'll go with that one.
The only way to feel the noise when it's good and loud, because that's the way I like it, baby. I don't want to live forever. Except, actually, I do want to live forever. Okay, I think we should play the new single now. Piers, the new single.
Okay, so listeners of Radio Gothic, this is our new single. This is 13.
And it's a murder ballad, but not.
They met one night back in autumn, when in next summer she was dead. Already abused, beaten and abused by him. When the night came she knew she was done. Murdered by the man she thought had loved her. As he cut her face she swore her revenge. With a lost man she whispered her curse to him. She gasped, we'll be together again. 30 kisses he placed on his finger. 30 kisses on her beautiful face. 30 kisses all over her body. 30 kisses were never enough. 30 gashes he gave to each finger. 30 slashes had a screaming face. 30 stab wounds all over her body. 30 injuries were never enough. A bill was launched for the witnesses. Friends came forward and told her tale. A young girl in love with a monster. What she saw in him nobody could say. The surgeon's fruitless at last abandoned. The case was slipping from the public's mind, until a dog walker discovered her body. A girl with no lips, a terrible find. 30 kisses he placed on his finger. 30 kisses on her beautiful face. 30 kisses all over her body. 30 kisses were never enough. 30 gashes he gave to each finger. 30 slashes had a screaming face. 30 stab wounds all over her body. 30 injuries were never enough.
Right, you live in Nottingham in England. Would you say that's where your main fan base is located, or is it further afield?
What do you say, Piers, to that?
I'd say that's a tricky one. We have lots of friends here who always come and see us when we play, and we see the same faces in the audience whenever we play in Nottingham, which is fantastic. But I know that we've been getting a lot of radio play in Mexico and Greece, further afield, Germany, places like that. So it's very difficult to sort of put your finger on who and where our audience is, but it's good to know that they are from around the world.
I think it's a typical global Gothic underground thing, isn't it? Is that, I mean, I think there's not a day, not even a few hours goes by without I don't get an email from some part of the world about either Arcane Winter or Death Party or my former band Midnight Configuration, or even every New Dead Ghost. We get stuff in all over the place. I mean, I've spoken to both of you separately about like where certain bands are popular to certain, and it's really strange. I mean, and so I think really, our fan base, I suppose, is scattered and around the world. And I think that to be fair about Arcane Winter, is I think that really we could appeal to a far wider audience if we could get the chance to play our music to a far wider audience, because I think there's something that appeals right across the board. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Well, I suppose the question could really go out to the listeners now. I mean,
do you like us?
Do you
yes
like us?
No?
Where are you based? How did you hear us?
It's like on Facebook, where you get some girl who'll take a selfie of herself. A selfie of herself, of course, and then she'll say, "Do you like me? Yes or no?"
Invariably, no.
So we can look forward to that on Facebook from Arcane Winter.
Yes. Do you like us? Yes or no?
No.
Can we meet your mother? Yes or no? Would you buy a used car from this man? Yes or no?
So,
okay, next one.
Have you played in just the UK, or have you played any European festivals or international dates yet?
Well, Piers.
As Arcane Winter, we've solely played in the UK. It's early days for us playing live, so obviously UK promoters and venues are easier at the minute for us to get to. We would absolutely love to play abroad.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we'd definitely love to play abroad, but we have to have the logistics have to be there, really. I mean, with other bands I've been in the past, things were different then. I mean, in Midnight Configuration, because we're mainly like electronic based, we could just literally pick up a couple of guitars, a vocal effects unit, and just get on a plane.
Yeah.
Whereas with Arcane Winter, we're a full-on band with our own bespoke amplification and guitars and everything else. Yeah. So I mean, we're up to doing it. It's just the right one has to.
We do have specific equipment.
Yeah.
That from where we draw our sound. So we would need
a very old Marshall.
It is old,
and even older guitarist.
So we would need a decent sized tour bus just to fit the gear on.
That's just for me.
So have any international promoters actually been in touch?
We have actually been speaking to a couple of different sets of people, but we're just waiting for things to solidify.
Right, the music that you create seems quite dark and the atmosphere is reflected well in your lyrics. What are your influences when you write?
Well, I write the lyrics because I sing them, so I like to be able to feel what I sing. So my lyrics are they're a strange mix of sort of political message and magical realism. So some songs say Invest in Death from my first EP. That's a very political song about the arms industry and the way the arms industry destroys everything that it touches. We have other songs, things like Christmas Day in the Workhouse, which is a magical realism song. It's kind of it's like a ghost story, like 13, the new single. It's a sort of gothic romance. So it's kind of I'm very interested in approaching music from both ends, because the music that I listen to at home is political or metaphysical. So
I think Charlie summed it when we had the band meeting the other week. He just says that, I mean, as much as I like it, we're not just singing songs about ghosts in graveyards.
Yeah.
I mean, I do like all that kind of stuff as well. But I think that with Arcane Winter, I think, as you say, the magical realism and the politicization is important. It's important for me that we actually say something. I mean, it says obviously we're our music's glum. Was it glum? Was it glum?
Dark.
Yeah, dark. Yeah.
But I think that's a good thing. I think that's a good thing to be dark. I mean,
as people, we're not.
No, listener, we are really.
I always remember when I first met Villy Vallow from him. He said to me, "Oh, you're not the evil fire-spitting monster I thought you were. I'm so disappointed." And I'm saying, "I'm sorry, mate. I'm just who I am, really."
Boss of tequila.
But absolutely. Which song should we play out?
I think we should play Star in the West.
A Star in the West. So, listeners, A Star in the West by Arcane Winter. Enjoy.
the rule of law. Earthquakes up a list of roars. Gonorrhea, the detestable crew, rising quickly through the grades. At 33 degrees and dressed in regalia, milk and water searching for the black. Before the hour line the room goes dark, and chains of lots and fall of sky. A clothes form in a shroud of darkness. Give me the finest golden crown. The mirror shows a demon reflection. The experiment has begun. In the chamber invocating Goetia, a perfect mistress, perfect wife. Voices echo, they are waiting for you. She points to God for the very first time. Deny the cross with a book of law. In the desert with a pocket of hash, and take a poet as an acolyte. A blinding light when you come. Clothes form in a shroud of darkness. Give me the finest golden crown. The mirror shows a dim reflection. The experiment has begun. Levitated, well you must believe your eyes. Old women, vampires, whores. Scarlet women out jading your palace. And punch the milk and dream away. The hippies love you, a rebellious figure, but now you're seen as a pariah. The curtains below as the thunder rolls, and then your grave swallows shame. The clothes form in a shroud of darkness. Give me the finest golden crown. The mirror shows a dim reflection. The experiment has begun. The clothes form in a shroud of darkness. Give me the finest golden crown. The mirror shows a dim reflection. The experiment has begun.
I read in a magazine that you are partially influenced by Susie and the Banshees. Is that true?
Yes.
Absolutely, yes. Next question.
No, yes. I mean, okay, right, I'll talk a bit about that. One of the unsung heroes of Gothic music is John Mackay, who is the original guitarist with Susie and the Banshees. When he joined Susie, I mean, Susie and the Banshees were a band that were put together at the fallout from the Sex Pistols. I mean, Susie Sue and Steve Severin were part of the Bromley contingent, and they were very obviously from a punk rock background, and I think they were always quite dark in their approach. And there's a long story about how they first met John Mackay. Now, they had different guitarists. I think Marco Perroni from Adam the Ants was in Susie and the Banshees for a while.
Right, yeah.
And Sid Vicious on bass, believe it or not.
Well, he had a bass.
Well, he had a bass. He was on stage. And basically, John Mackay, I think, was a fan of the band, and eventually he just kind of wormed his way into the band because he was in the right place at the right time. Now, John Mackay comes from an art background, and he approached the guitar from a more artistic point of view, and he, right from the get-go, used, again, fifths and sevenths, and he used sort of top barring techniques on the top strings, and that was really one of the key sounds of Susie and the Banshees was the borrowing. I mean, take Hong Kong Garden. Just think of Hong Kong Garden. The main riff from that is just top barred.
Yeah.
And then you've got, but there's all sorts of strange chords, which are predominantly bar chords, but they're kind of semitone structures. And he injected a darkness into the music, which, in my opinion, was not done before. And The Scream, which was the first Banshees album, for me is an astounding work of originality and brilliance. And I think John McKay's guitar on that, for me, set the bar. And when I heard the guitar work on that, stuff like Nicotine Stain, Metal Postcard, what's the other one I really like off there? Switch. Every track on the album. Jigsaw Feeling.
Brilliant.
Jigsaw Feeling particularly. It kind of laid down the rules for what goth was to become.
Yeah.
So for me, that was, 16 years old or so, 17. I picked up The Scream, and it was like kind of one of those moments where you think, I want to do that. I want to do that.
I had a very similar experience. I was in the UK. There used to be an evening pop program called Top of the Pops, where you get the rundown of the top 40, and it was excruciating viewing. But there will be at least 2 good songs on every week. For whatever kind of music you like, there'll be at least a couple of good songs on. And I remember seeing Susie and the Banshees do Dear Prudence, and that was the first time I'd seen them. And to be honest, I just fell in love with Susie. So if I'm honest. And I do remember
many people did,
and I do remember very clearly looking at Steve Severin and thinking, I want to do that. That's for me, as you say.
Okay.
Right. And what about Robert Smith from The Cure? Has he influenced you at all?
No.
I like The Cure a lot, but I don't.
I like The Cure a bit, but there is no Cure influence in my musical DNA.
I like them.
Yeah, I like
but
them.
They're not an influence on me.
No.
Although they are a band I listen to a lot.
I do like listening to stuff off like primary pornography period.
Pornography and Faith are superb albums.
Yeah, Faith, that's it. I mean, I'm not a massive fan, but I do enjoy their stuff, but they don't influence me in any way at all musically.
So who are your main influences then, apart from Susie and the Banshees?
I think I've kind of already mentioned them, but I mean personally, musically, I'll be honest, Black Sabbath, Ministry, Killing Joke, Play Dead, Joy Division, I mentioned Susan and the Banshees, Hawkwind, Chrome, I think were probably my main influences. And then I think for Arcane Winter, they're my main influences, but other minor influences, a little bit of Fields the Nephilim, a little bit of the Sisters, but really it's far more Killing Joke, Play Dead, Hawkwind.
Yeah,
that kind of stuff, really.
I'd go with those 3 definitely.
The
Sisters for me. I think the Sisters were a brilliant band, and then they released Vision Thing, and I think it fell to pieces. That's just my personal point of view. This might surprise you when I say this. Big influence on me is actually Public Enemy. I really like the way they're very
bits of their stuff.
They're very strident with their message, and it's delivered with such force.
She watched Channel Zero's about the track I like,
band.
really.
But brilliant live band. I would recommend seeing them live to absolutely anybody. Superb band. Ministry, as Trev said. Actually, I might surprise Trev saying this. Every New Dead Ghost for me.
That's my whole
a band I followed for many years. Really enjoyed. Nothing but good times. So, yeah. I'd like to recreate those times.
I mean, other bands. I'd like to chuck into the mix. Bands like the Amoebics, the first early
band.
stuff that they did, and more their message than anything else. But Crass,
superb.
Yeah, Crass. Yeah. I mean, there's probably other things I'll think about. But as far as Arcane Winter is concerned, I would say that's my main influence, isn't it? Obviously, the rest of the guys aren't here. I mean, I'd even go as far as to say this early Public Image Limited.
Yeah.
That kind of sound.
I think
even early Wire.
I think you definitely Wire is an influence on Nick.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the others aren't here, but I think that Charlie's main influence, I think, would be the Clash.
Yeah.
But I think he obviously likes all the other bands we mentioned. I mean, obviously we've got to mention him for the Dance Society, and they were also an influence on me, more so with Midnight Configuration than with Arcane Winter. But I think their whole ethos and the way they use keyboards and guitar phrasing and everything was also an influence on me, really.
Yeah, great band, Dance Society.
Definitely. Time to play another Arcane Winter track.
Right.
I think it should be the Mirror Crack from Side to Side.
Okay.
That's our previous single.
That was our debut single.
Our debut single.
Our debut
so enjoy
single, so.
the Mirror Crack from Side to Side.
But it doesn't matter. It was like a butterfly. It may be raining, she's looking her best. Always knows the day tomorrow forever. Wants to talk to most she approaches. The shame back, don't know what to do. Embarrassment, the best they can manage. Reminds them of what's to come. Stepping out of the dark now. The strangest places have learned from their own. Behind the hands they whisper versions. The same old story again and again and again. She buys a drink and it comes in a tall glass. She takes a sip and she taps at her lips. Above the bar she checks in the mirror. Not a single hair out of place. Looking good, she knows they all think so. Find a seat to survey the room. Needs to clash of those longing glances. Flirtatious and flirtatious does. Stepping out of the dark now. The strangest faces have heard from her own. Behind the hands they whisper versions. The same old story again and again and again. Watching the smoke rise, recall the time when her eyes were on her, like the girls at the end of the bar. Stars burn bright on Saturday nights, and time will dull their love till I curse though. The mirror crack from side to side, stepping out of the dark now. Strangest faces have heard from her own. Behind the hands they whisper versions, the same old story again and again and again.
So what does the future hold for Arcane Winter? Where do you want to go with your music?
That's a fantastic question. Well, as Trev said earlier, we're working on the album now.
Welcome to Winter.
Welcome to Winter. Very nearly in the bag. 3 more songs to work on. So,
just 3 more.
We've recorded 38.
Thousand.
So the next step at the minute would be to release that, promote that. Play as many festivals, as many gigs as we can to support that. I'd like to see us playing bigger stages with bigger bands. I mean, we've got a show coming up where we're supporting Fields of the Nephilim, which is an enormous honour. I mean, massive influence on me.
The
One of my favourite bands.
Film Festival.
At the Bram Stoker Film Festival. So I'd like to see us doing that kind of stuff in the future, sort of bigger stages. Bigger events. I think we've paid our dues, I think.
Well, like I say, my mate Brian says we're a stadium rock band, really, and I think, I mean, from my point of view, is that what does the future hold for Arcane Winter? I don't suppose anybody really knows what the future holds for any of us. I mean, the moment we're living in a world of, well, I mean, obviously the world is always in a state of chaos and flux, but at the moment there's all sorts of threats, left, right, and centre, quite literally. And so none of us can be really sure what the future holds. But I mean, obviously in this country the government is appalling. It's likely to be appalling in the future. Yeah. It's not going to get any better. There's going to be all sorts of, like wishy-washy decisions or not, as the case may be. So what you can do is just literally get your head down and get on with whatever else you can as an individual. And what does the future hold for Arcane Winter but to carry on? I mean, one of the questions I ask myself is, what is the purpose and function of being in a band? And you could say, well, it's to write music. For whom? Who cares? What is it all about? I mean, particularly when you actually lose money releasing stuff now, or at least a lot of bands do. And the question, you turn this question around in your head over and over again. And one of the main functions and purposes of being in a band is to represent your community. Well, by community, I don't necessarily mean your physical locality, but the community that you feel a kindredness with. And I think that really you reflect who you are, what you are, where you come from, and you do this on a continual basis. I mean, one of the functions of music was it was the actual property of the tribe, and you sung about what you did, where you were going, your aspirations. And I see that Arcane Winter, I mean, obviously we've got this album coming out at some point, Welcome to Winter, plug, but I see us just continuing as long as we can in that vein. I have no intention of not continuing.
Oh, definitely not. Definitely not.
I mean, obviously you hear from various musicians and they kind of get despondent from time to time about, the reaction to their music or not, as the case may be.
But I think that goes to the territory. I think that's actually part of being a musician. I'm sure that the Bono sometimes has sleepless nights thinking, what if people don't like the next album?
I don't think he really has to worry about that too much. He's got a golden pillow to lay his head
his
upon.
big pile of money, yeah. But no, I think that's just part of being creative, isn't it? There has to be an element of doubt just to keep you human, and I think also just to keep you on your toes. I think if we became complacent, we'd lose it.
I mean, obviously, I don't know where we're going to go next. I mean, the album is what we're focused on at the moment, and it'd be nice to play some bigger shows. And I think that, my experience of the bands that I've been in the past is that the more you do, the more effort you put in, the more work you put in, the bigger the shows become.
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
just a slow process. I mean, at the moment, we're all sort of like, in our 40s and 50s, and we've been around the block several times, and you sometimes think to yourself, have we ever reached a point musically where we become irrelevant? And it's like, are we kind of now just pitching our tent in an area which is kind of irrelevant to what most young people are about? And I would say that we're not.
I would say we're not.
I would say no, we're not. And I think that there's many arguments to this. And I think that really one of the things about Arcane Winter is because we are predominantly a post-punk underground band that has never been very, rich with all the other bands we've been in the past. We've never tasted that sort of sour fruit of massive success. So we've always kind of kept at a certain level, and I think that also now a lot of young people are very apolitical and are very much controlled by the mass media, by all the gadgets and gizmos and whatever. And you find that most young people now actually don't ask questions anymore. There are some that do and some that wake up, but most of them just go along with the latest status quo and they don't actually question. And the ironic thing we've got now, in my opinion, is you've got young people listening to music which is actually, in my opinion, quite reactionary. Musically, it's not saying anything new. Politically, it's not saying anything new. In fact, if anything, it's echoing tried and tested concepts from yesteryear.
Yeah.
And it's just rehashing them. I mean, I won't start picking on bands and going on about stuff, but it's true. You listen to it and you think, they're just talking about the same old sex, drugs, rock and roll stuff that was done and dusted in the late 60s, early 70s.
Yeah, very much.
And so you find, the concept behind Revolution and Young People, which was exemplified in one way in The Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger, is the idea that young people do have this innate ability to sniff out what is phony and not phony.
It's phony. Yeah.
And I think now what's actually happened is that successive generations, if you will, the YouTube generation, the television generation, the instant soundbite the fact that young people don't read anymore, I think also means that, if anything, our generation is still flying the flag of rebellion well into our 50s.
Yeah, true.
So I think that really, I don't see that, I see us carrying on with that, really. What's going on?
I see that within my friends that, I felt just as reactionary to stuff now as I did when I was 16, 17.
Yeah, I haven't changed politically.
My views have not changed. The way I express myself has not changed. But now we have a I think a bigger, a better way to spread our message, using the internet and stuff. Kids today, they might not listen to stuff and they might not read, but if you use the internet, you've got access to every piece of music ever recorded.
You have, but only if
I
you
wish I
know
had that when I was
how
18.
Yeah, this is really interesting. It's an interesting point. I think the internet is a two-edged sword. I think that, yes, everything's there, only if you know where to look and if you're inspired to look for it. I mean, it's like Twitter. I mean, I like Twitter, I did, and I found a lot of use in it. But nowadays, it's been usurped by the business community, who have these auto-tweet bots that just constantly say, effectively, buy my stuff, buy my stuff.
Yeah.
And the analogy I was saying to Scarlett the other day is as if you was all standing in a room and everybody was shouting at once and nobody's listening.
Yeah.
And I think the trouble is with the internet is everybody wants your attention.
Everybody wants the right to be heard.
Everybody
but not
wants your
everybody
attention.
Wants to listen.
And the trouble is, if everybody's shouting at once, young people are just going to put the fingers in the ears and saying, I can't take this in.
Yeah.
So yes, it's all there, but only if you're inspired to look for it. And that is my issue with it. I think I love the internet, it's a great thing. But the trouble is that you can either go on and check out, I don't know, all of the information regarding Nikola Tesla, for example, or you could go to YouTube and watch people falling over. Okay, I think we should play a song now. So which song would you like to play next?
I think we should play A Rise and Decline.
Rise and Decline off the Radio ATP. Enjoy.
The concept rose with the dawning of time. It changed, adapted and shaping the lives. All those who feared of the terrible vengeance, the awesome threat of a power beyond nature. A force could bring havoc and kill everyone. The tribe may take solace the words of the one, and translate the dark skies in the sky. Give the tribe guidance, avoiding its wrath. Arise, decline, the truth can be told now. Open your eyes and see the world anew. Let these words send out to all the apostles. I declare these words to be the new gospel. Free yourself from the old tyranny. See your fears have been defeated by reason. Lose your chains before they weigh you down. Before you drown in milk and honey, look around. Is there any need to fear anymore? And see the truth is wonderful to behold. What had us down is now in decline. God is dead, it is time to rise. Priests took up a hand in the dealings. Only they could act as intermediaries, despite the fact that God had made man. He spoke in tongues that man could not understand. They told a place where the sinners would go, a place more awful than the world that you know. When you and if God is angry with you, hell a terrible place now and forever. Arise, decline, the truth can be told now. Open your eyes and see the world anew. Let these words send out to all the apostles. I declare these words to be the new gospel. To free yourself from the old tyranny. See your fears have been defeated by reason. Lose your chains before they weigh you down. Before you drown in milk and honey, look around. Is there any need to fear anymore? See the truth is wonderful to behold. What had us down is now on decline. God is dead, it is time to arise. destroy creation with a push of a button. The dread of the bomb hangs over our heads. The threat is for the existence of God. And priests should really hang their heads in shame. The concept's flawed if it let us die. Rise the climb, the truth can be told now. Open your eyes and see the world anew. Let these words send out to all the apostles. I declare these words to be the new gospel. And free yourself from the old tyranny. And see your fears have been defeated by reason. Lose the change before they weigh you down. Before you try to milk and honey, look around. Is there really to fear anymore?
So I would say that you're an underground band and that a lot of the venues that you play tend to be smaller. Now, with the political message that you have in a lot of your songs, how do you think that would transfer to a bigger stage?
Well, over to you.
We played last summer at a pagan festival, so we probably played to 1,000, 1,200 people.
What's about that? Yeah.
Bizarrely, we were playing during the day, in the daylight, outside. It was most peculiar. I mean, not our
in a
natural
Victorian bandstand.
Yeah, not our natural habitat, but we deliberately played sort of, for want of a better term, the rockier numbers because it was a festival audience, and it was very surprising and very gratifying that a lot of the political stuff went down so well. We have a song called I Treason, which is about the royal family here. Now, we are not fans of the royal family by any stretch of the imagination, so I always introduced the song with a bit of a rant, and it was...
You never rant, Piers.
as much of a rant as I would do before I was singing.
Comparable.
yeah, it's very true, very true. Yeah, it was actually really good to see people's reactions to that, and getting a round of applause for saying that we don't like them, which is strangely something in Britain you don't say. We are meant to kowtow to them and treat them with reverence and respect. Tug your forelock. Now, I don't see why we should do that at all.
No.
For many reasons, none of which I'll go into right now because this will take up the rest of the show. But yeah, I think we can take our political message to bigger stages, because I think our political message is, and I'm going to say this because I write the lyrics, is right. I genuinely believe the things that I say and
with
sing.
The political message, though, is I think that there's bands that make a big deal of their political message. A lot of sort of like, hardcore leftist punk bands.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I see our political message as just being a natural thing. It's not like kind of, right, here we are waving the flags, and that is all we are.
Yeah, we're not trying to ram it down your throat.
Our beliefs are our beliefs, and and it's part and parcel of our lives. And to me, it's like kind of the political message is just as important as the magical message, the spiritual message, or the fact that even the mundane message that is sometimes, I mean, there's a lot to be said for the mundane, really, to be fair. There's parts of this world now, being political again, where just to be mundane is an achievement.
Is in itself a political standpoint.
I mean, I'm thinking of the lyrics from Kerosene, we don't know how good we've got it effectively.
It's true. And
I've no wish to go on stage and convert a load of people to voting anything.
No.
The only thing I want to do is go on stage and make people think. Big audience, small audience, big venues. Yeah. I mean, I like, doesn't matter. I mean, medium venues, doesn't matter. If the crowd's
so long as the PA is loud.
Yeah, as long as the PA is good. I don't have to turn the guitar down. I'm quite happy.
This is true, listeners. True. But I would say I always credit our audience with intelligence to listen to us and to understand what we're saying. And that's all I would ask from the audience, is to listen and understand. You may not agree, but please understand.
I think we should play a track. What should we play next?
Let's play Kerosene.
Kerosene.
feel the tension crackle in the air when you stand in line for your daily bread. Send your kids to school anymore, or is a classroom now permanently a morgue? Can you walk the streets without a helmet, or you resign to the sniper's shots?
So what would you say are your greatest successes to date?
As a
As
band
Arcane
or
Winter.
personally?
As Arcane Winter.
I would say that we have been chosen to play with Filtered and Nephilim. It's a completely left field. It came out of the blue. I was walking on air in fact I'm still walking on air if I'm honest. You know, a band that I followed since I was a teenager, and we're going to be supporting them. Absolutely superb. We've played some really good festival dates as well. We've got some festivals coming up in the summer. It's an exciting time. It's an exciting time for this band right now.
Yeah, I mean, I concur with all of that, but also want to take the question in a slightly different direction. I think our greatest achievement is every single song we've written. Because I think every single song we write opens up a new idea, a new box, a new way of seeing things, a new way of, for us, composing. So I think that every single song, for me, that we do, is our greatest achievement at the time. I think we should play a track.
Yeah.
I think what we should play now is, obviously there's the fundraiser, Goth Tune fundraiser compilation album, which is in Latin and I can't pronounce it. But it's available via the on-air radio.
Gigs, yeah.
Or
if you go to arcanewinter.net, there's a link to it there.
And it's like some great tracks by some great bands, but obviously as Arcane Winter we've donated an exclusive edit version of a song, haven't we? So
we have, yeah. In fact, strangely, one of the first songs we ever wrote. It's about 10 minutes long. It's an epic.
However, this is the edited version.
This is the edited version. This is only the 4-minute version, but this is a taster of what's to come on the album. Welcome to Winter. So, from that, here is Another Sorrow.
shoulders should really lay the blame. It won't sit upon the wings of an angel. You're alone at the end of the world. Or will you say when on your deathbed, whatever said they won't be listening? Run and hide from another sorrow, a today and a tomorrow. For the absolute to yourself, it's a sorrow and not another's. Your bedroom makes a lie in it. Don't get away from the damage you've caused, because the mistake is not just your own. Turn off the angels, they're not to blame. They flap their wings and you're happy again. You're enough by child you cannot escape. Take some time and long consider your actions. You're an adult, wanna try to act like one. Run and hide from another sorrow, but today and her tomorrow. For the answers, look to yourself. It's a sorrow and not another's. You hold a knife, what will you do with it? Make a bold statement or make a sandwich? A pointless death will only end your suffering. What will it do to those you leave behind? How many times have you felt so alone? How many times have you come through the other side? Time is a healer, it may be cliched, but in every cliche lies a grain of truth. There'll be no angel offering succor. Get off your knees, no prayers will be answered. Why waste your time when nothing happens? Only earthly creatures will surround you. Look at your friends instead, they're out there. Share your tale with them, they'll listen. Find your solace in those around you. Take solace where you find it. In art, in literature and music. Play it, brother. Alone at the edge of the sea. Is the answer just to dive right in? Have some strength and once and walk from the shore. Sit a while and think of the future. Try and live a decent life for once. The angels flap their wings and leave you standing. Only time will become of you. Don't ask the angels, they don't care. Run and hide from another sorrow, a today and a tomorrow. For the absolute to yourself, it's your sorrow and not another's.
So your debut album, Welcome to Winter, will be out later this year. How do you choose which tracks to put on the album?
That's actually very difficult. We have recorded probably 15 songs.
It's about 10.
So
we need different mixes.
Yeah, we need to whittle it down, and so basically what's going to happen is we're all going to get in a room and have a punch up.
My money's on Charlie to beat us all. He'll win.
Nick could surprise you.
Nick could come in, yeah.
He'll come in with a cricket bat.
He will.
I think what we'll do, we'll have a listening party.
That's what Charlie's on about, wasn't it? A listening party.
Yeah, so what we'll do is we'll have the band, we'll have wives and girlfriends and interested parties, so that we've got a fair selection of people.
We could actually make quite a deal of it, because, I mean, Metallica do that. They actually have a big party.
Yeah.
And people just sit and listen, and I think people would probably get too drunk. Look, I'm trying to sort this damn album out.
Yeah, track 3.
I don't know what it's called, but it kind of goes like this.
I liked it, So we have a vast array of material. So obviously we want to choose the best. We'll basically have a listening party and sort of invite sort of 10 or 12 people and hold a vote.
Okay, so we're going to play a track which hasn't really been released yet. It's gone out in a compilation, but it hasn't really gone out yet. This is a song called As You Reap.
fall into a largely bed. Drift away with little thoughts of how you spent another busy day. Proud of what you've done and motions plans that will benefit of you. Dictate hold your dreams tomorrow, they fill your mind and they always lose you. Mine the world flow from your lips. As you reap so shall you sow. Have a day is you when you speak of right and wrong. Mind the world flow from your lips. To serve the people, position or privilege. You line your pockets at our expense though, elbow your way to the trough now. It must be hard work making all those spiteful vitriolic statements. Why try to understand when instead you rely on prejudice now? Mind the words flow from your lips. As you reap, so shall you sow. Advocate hears you when you speak of right and wrong. Mind the words flow from your lips.
Right, I would just like to say thank you to Pier 6.
Thank you.
Thank you to Dark Lord Trevor Bamford.
And thank you to Scarlet Moonchild Bamford, who has been asking questions on behalf of Radio Gothic.
Thank
Cheers,
you,
listeners.
Arcane Winter.
Thank you very much for the interview, and
Hopefully see you soon.
buy our stuff. Thank you very much, and good night.
Farewell.